Yes, we're back with another rider, another episode. Today we have Mike in the house, and Mike is a man of a few talents so far. He's an interesting, bubbly guy. Nice to have you here today, Mike.
Good to be in the vehicle.
So, Mike, just to start off, you're from Kent. Is that where you grew up?
Born and raised.
What were you like when you were in school?
Oh, there you go. There's a question. I don't know. I kind of feel like it's a bit of a cliched answer to say I was the slight troublemaker, trying to get on the back row so I didn't have to pay too much attention. But yeah, that probably was me.
You don't strike me as a troublemaker. Were you mischievous?
Mischievous is probably a better word. I also benefited from having a very straight-laced older brother who also went to the same school. So I got a lot of free ride from the teachers because they just assumed that I was probably a nice boy like Philip was.
Yeah, so when Miss says, "Miss, look what Mike did," and you're just sitting there like, "No,
I wouldn't do that." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that definitely rode a few charges based on my older brother's good reputation.
Okay, that's good. So were you into any sports or anything?
Yeah, I did them all as a kid, and then I guess you can't do them all, so you start specialising a little bit. I did a fair bit. If I was going to pick a sport that I did a lot when I was a kid, I did a lot of swimming.
Oh,
so
yeah, you're tall and
lanky,
long loins.
Tall and I don't think I've got any chunkier than I did when I was about 15. So still pretty slim, but yeah, up and down the pool, pretty much smelt of chlorine for a good 10 years of my junior life.
So were you swimming for counties, nationals?
Yeah, all of that stuff. So yeah, Kent, obviously county I grew up in. Swam for Kent. Lots of those little medals they like to give you as a kid. Not the participation ones though. I might add the ones with colours, gold, silver, bronze only, and they're little ribbons that said like sixth when you've done badly. Yeah, a bit of that, and then I got a couple of national times and did a few national stuff. But to be honest, I was never gonna really make it because I don't think I had the dedication to put in the last. I think I describe myself as maybe like a 85% kind of sportsman. Like, can pretty much do most sports pretty well, and I get to a certain level in it, and then I kind of don't. I either lose interest or I don't want to commit to add the real dedication of like grinding at that thing to be really good at it.
How long were you in the swimming game, and did you win any golds? And why weren't you that dedicated?
Well, to be honest, I think it was just a timing thing to some extent. I swam probably from about the age of 11 to about 17.
Okay.
And I guess, why did I give it up? Well, when you get to like 16, 17, or your mates are like starting to go out a bit more swimming, you gotta plow up and down that pool 5 times a week minimum, like hours on end. It takes up a lot of your time. So I had like friends in the swimming clubs and stuff, but it took up a bit of your time, and there was other distractions going on that kind of pulled me away from it a little bit. I did all right whilst I was doing it. I think towards the end, if I'm honest, other kids were getting bigger than me. Like, I'd stand on the blocks at the end of the swimming lanes and look left and right, and some of them kids are pretty big lads. So to be fair, I think they were always going to have the edge on me.
Were they? Because from what I understand, I love swimming as well. I try and swim every day if possible. But the bigger you are in muscles, the less likely you are to be a good swimmer. Because what's that guy, the swimmer guy? What's his name?
Michael Phelps.
Yeah, he's not muscly. He's lean.
Yeah.
Massive shoulders, obviously.
Big long arms, big hands, big feet. Yeah.
He's like an avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got paddles for hands and big old flippers. He's got like something like size 15 feet or something.
Yeah.
So, the other statistic that I know about Michael Phelps is his wingspan. So like his arms are really long. He's got relatively long body, relatively short legs, which is good in swimming because your legs are drag basically, and then he's all arms and chest just for like pulling himself through the water. Yeah. So his wingspan's like something like 4 inches longer than his height, which usually your arm width is about the same as your height.
Your legs, the thing that's meant to power you forward.
I mean, you got to use swimming. You got to use it all. Yeah, you got to use it all. It's kicking and the arms, all timing as well, and technique. But it's his body shape was proven to be pretty decent. He won quite a few golds, so we'll give it to him.
Okay. So, why dedication? You said you weren't dedicated. Why?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I kind of bit like this with lots of sports. Like, naturally, like, I'm okay. I can throw a ball. I've got good hand-eye coordination, so I can get to decent level at most sports. Like, to the point where I can beat kind of most people just picking it up and going. So I get into it. I'm like, oh, I'm good at this, and then I'll play it for a while, and then I'll kind of either get distracted with something else, or I go, oh, I'm all right at this, and then I kind of, I don't know, my motivation wanes a little bit, and I just don't want to put in the hard graft that you got to go and monotonously kind of consistently do those last little bits to get really, really good at something. And I think
was your brother a swimmer?
He was for maybe the first few years, but I think he didn't like it that I was better than he was.
So you followed in his footsteps?
I did, yeah. Like he was going to swimming lessons. I went down to watch him, but I was the sort of kid who wanted to get in, so the swimming coach at the time was like, well, you can let him get in as well. And then, I was not bad at it off the bat, and then I think my brother kind of didn't really like that so much, because his younger brother was catching him up, and he thought he'd bow out before he got beaten.
Like a Serena and Venus?
Yeah, maybe similar, but without the high level accomplishment.
Okay, don't put yourself down so much.
Wow, I don't know. That's lofty. That's lofty company to be put in.
Okay.
The Venus and the Serena done not bad for themselves.
So where you went to college, uni. What did you study?
I did a fairly generic business management degree, which I did because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, and I figured business is going to be relevant for pretty much anything. And yeah, to be honest, I think it was pretty good. I learned a lot of life stuff at university as well. First serious girlfriend, all that sort of like one that I went out with for a bunch of years. A bunch of other girls that I didn't go out with for very long at all. Maybe an evening or so. But yeah, that's what university's all about. Worked out how to cook for myself, and
Okay.
I made it out alive.
You got sisters?
I've got a younger sister, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I've got a younger sister. So yeah,
Going
I'm
back
a middle
to-
child.
Sorry, going back to the swimming.
Yeah.
What's the fitness regime like, and what would be your advice to a younger person who wants to get into swimming?
All right. Okay. So a picture of a week swimming for me was, I used to do, basically I would swim 5 days a week. So didn't swim really at the weekends unless there was competition, which was generally at the weekend. But training wise was Monday to Friday, and I used to do 2 sessions on Mondays, 2 sessions on Wednesdays, and 2 sessions on Fridays. So 6 a.m. in the pool, which was horrific because it's a cold wake up, which now is all the rage. Everyone likes to jump in cold baths and do their Wim Hof special breathing and all that.
Yeah.
But as a teenager, you don't want to do that. You don't want to get out of bed in the first place, let alone get to a cold swimming pool, put your budgie smugglers on and jump in some cold water, and then be shouted at by probably, an old bloke telling you to get up and down the pool and not slack off.
Was it a 50-metre pool?
No, just a 25-metre pool, yeah.
So how many laps did you have to do?
Well, I mean, we used to do about 5k a session in like an hour and 20 or so, like that.
What?
So yeah,
I struggle to do.
We're going up and down, up and down.
1k in half an hour. I'm terrible.
That's not bad.
I'm terrible.
That's not.
Jesus whip.
Are you checking that? You got like a Garmin or
Yeah, I
something?
got the
Yeah,
thing,
there we go. You got the Apple
Watch.
Watch. There we go.
That's
Shout out to
terrible.
Apple. Other watches are available.
Yeah, that's terrible for me. I'm disgusted. I'm gonna really have to start have a serious word with yourself, Charlie. You hear me?
I can still swim these days. Still got the technique. I know how to do.
I
I know how to
don't
do
doubt
it.
though.
But I don't have the. I can't do it like I used to do it. And to be honest, every time I get in the pool, I just think, you know what, my 12-year-old self would kick my ass right now. Like speed as well as.
So that was
distance.
front crawl constantly.
A lot of freestyle because it's most efficient for getting up and down the pool, for doing the most volume of training. But we would be doing all sorts of stuff like breaststroke, backstroke, fly. Butterfly is definitely a power game one. You got to be the bigger you are, like strength-wise, you need that for butterfly, because you got to like essentially haul yourself through the water. But is the fastest of all strokes in if you're doing just a one straight sprint, it's technically the fastest stroke, but
Freestyle is front crawl.
front crawl is freestyle, yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard that before, and I was thinking, why did people call it freestyle?
Well, a little history for you. So it was called freestyle because the original races that were in the freestyle category, you could swim, and you still can, I believe, in a freestyle race, you can swim any stroke you like. You could jump in a pool and do breaststroke if you want. You will lose because it's not as quick, even if you're Adam Peaty, who's probably the best swimmer in Britain at the moment. He's a big lad. If you've seen him, he gets through the water. But breaststroke is not as quick as freestyle. Mm-hmm. It's just not as streamlined because the way you move your body, and you're just not gliding through the water in the same way. So yeah, all different strokes, but primarily freestyle. You're right on that because it's the most efficient.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good to know. So, what would be your advice to a young person about swimming?
Indeed, you did ask me that. I didn't answer that question. So, advice. I mean, you got to be into it to be able to even want to go and do that amount of training. Like I was into it at the time, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be going there five days a week. I think the thing is, you got to really work on your technique, mostly early doors. And the one thing I would tell kids when they're training, which I did not do, is when you're doing your turns. So every length you're doing a tumble turn, roll over and then kick the wall and push off hard. That is the easiest thing to slack off in training because, you glide into the wall, you cruise a little bit to take a rest, then you turn and then you push off the wall a bit half-hearted and you glide and then you have to start swimming again. So it's the easiest bit to take a break on. If I'm pretty sure the kids that didn't take breaks on pushing on the turns definitely got the gains out of that, and it's just ingraining the right speed, the right kind of timing to hit that wall hard, push off with intent, and that sets you up for the rest of the the length of the race that you're doing. That's the one thing that you get literally thousands of opportunities to practice it, and it's the easiest thing to slack off doing. But yeah, I recommend focusing on those turns.
That turn, yeah, because when I do that turn, it exhausts me. It's exhausting.
It's because you got to hold your breath. Well, you flip over, right?
I try and breathe out through my nose to stop the water going back up.
There we go. You got it.
Yeah, and you corkscrew
Does that
off,
work?
don't you? You corkscrew off.
Yeah. Kind of twist and push as you go.
Yeah, and then you're meant to bring your knees to your chest.
Yeah.
But then you keep your knees and your feet, your ankles and thighs together, so closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You want to. It's kind of a roly-poly to use a non-technical term, but yeah, you kind of want to, you swim into the wall, you want to, I think the hardest thing as maybe non-competitive level swimmer, the first thing when you start doing tumble turns, the hardest thing is to get close enough to the wall, because you think, oh, I'm getting too close, but actually you want to be quite close when you flip over, and you want to tuck your knees in and get quite a tight turn, but then you're always worried about flipping over and, I'm going to whack my heels on the wall. Nobody wants to do that because that hurts. So you're always a bit shy. So you always tumble turn a little bit too far away from the wall first. And then because you do that, when you turn over, you go to push your legs, but your legs are probably already half stretched out anyway. So you're not getting that real, squat down and push off power that you would get if you, so if you ask somebody to jump and grab a basketball ring, they're going to squat down as far as they can and really drive their legs down. That's the kind of effort you want to push off a wall.
Okay. That's interesting. So, how did it feel when you won medals? Did you ever win gold?
I did win a few golds, yeah.
Feel?
It was what I trained for, right? So you get the gold, it's validation of the effort you put in, bit of praise from your peers. I had a coach who was a pretty moody old bloke, never really happy even if you won. It seemed to be could have been quicker or whatever those were, but I guess I'm sure he had his motivational techniques that said that to somebody like me, because I'm like, well, next time I'll prove you wrong, next time I'll make you notice, kind of thing. So I'm sure he was doing it for the right reasons. But winning a race is great. I actually won't tell you a story about a race I won. I'll tell you a story about a race that I didn't win. So I've given away the ending here, but it was an interesting moment and something I've thought about since. So it was a Kent Championship swim. It was 400 meters, so one of the longer races. It was freestyle, so 16 lengths of a 25-meter pool. And it was me. I mean, this is the final, so there's the 6 final qualifying guys in it. I think I was about 13, and I was doing pretty well. Just sitting on the shoulder, just trailing guy in the lane next to me. He was out in front, and so I'm cruising alongside him, and I'm doing pretty well. And I'm like not really feeling it too much. I feel like I'm coasting a little bit, and I've got more in the tank. And you know what? I've seen my spot. I do my turn. I've got a couple of lengths left, so turn the afterburners on, kick it off. I start powering on. I tumble turn at the halfway mark of that last turn. I push off. I've got a good push. I'm out. I come up just in front of it, and I'm powering home. Hit the wall, bang, and I'm like, I've done him. I've got him. This is one of the little kids that was, one of my rivals, who was in most of the finals alongside me. I put my hand on the wall. I finished. I'm like, I've done it. I've exhilarated. I've won gold at the Kents. Pretty happy about that. I look left. I see he turned. I went, oh shit! I've stopped too soon. I've done only 14 lengths. I can now hear that everyone screaming, like, what are you doing?
Swim!
I pushed off the wall. Everyone else is now already turned, so everyone's caught me up. And I absolutely bombed the last 2 lengths of that race, like almost at my fastest 2-length kind of pace, because I was so embarrassed about what I'd just done. And I lost by about half a second. And my coach absolutely ripped me a new one, and I did not feel too good that I'd just done that, and it didn't feel great to then be berated by teammates and coaches, but it was all my fault. And to be honest, I remember the story well, so obviously it made a bit of a mark on me.
The moral to the story is
keep swimming till the end and count your lengths.
Keep swimming till you hear the whistle.
Yeah, wow.
Is there a whistle?
No whistle. There's a gun when you dive in. Sometimes there is they give you like a whistle or a sound when you've got 2 lengths left, but don't think that was the case back then.
You're meant to be counting those lengths.
Yeah, well, to add to it, I think I still broke the club record for the 400 freestyle at under 12 or under 13s, whatever age group it was. It was like 4:51, so I'd done minute 15 per 100 for the 4 as a reasonably small kid. So I was pretty quick at the time. Didn't go to the nationals because although my time qualified, I became second in Kent, so the other kid went. So yeah, it was moments where, I thought I timed it really well. I thought I'd done everything to get the win, and messed it up.
Well, sorry to hear that. So moving on.
But we live and learn.
Yeah, we live and learn.
And you know what? It's a good lesson in life to have a few failures here and there. I was probably a reasonably cocky little kid at 12, and occasionally you need to take a little kick in so you can learn from it.
Well, failing is the only way we learn.
True.
It's because when you fail, you realise what you shouldn't do.
Exactly.
And you're one closer to doing it right.
Yeah.
So when you left uni, you decided you're going to be
hotshot madman, hit the advertising agency world.
And how was that?
No, to be honest, I left uni and I was like, I'm going to get a job in a bank in the city and learn loads of cash.
Banker.
I went for a couple of interviews and didn't get any of them. Went to one that was like a grad scheme for an insurance company called Zurich, pretty big firm, and they do all the assessments, like group interviews and stuff. I think I did okay at it. They basically suggested that they thought I would be good in their marketing department, and I hadn't really thought about that up until that point. And made me think, and I was like, actually, you know what? I think that might be a good career that involved kind of using the business stuff that I'd learned and kind of, essentially being, everything's business, of course, but like advertising is, of course, commercial art, the art of selling stuff to people by making them think it looks great and want to buy it. And so I started looking into like what sort of jobs exist in that world, and took me a little while to get into it, because it's a bit of a, I don't know, it feels like a bit of a if you know the right people sort of thing to get into. I didn't know anyone, but I got my foot in the door eventually, and then I worked at quite a few of the big ad agencies in London, and I think I've done all right for myself, and taking that skills over to the new land.
That's good. So the new land, you met somebody. Where did you meet them?
Well, I met them in Canada, where I've now moved to and live.
Is in Canada a nice way of saying Tinder in Canada?
No. Far more exotic than that.
Go on.
So in 2018, I think it was. Should know that. Hopefully she doesn't listen to this. 2018, I was working with Samsung Electronics, mobile phones, all the other stuff they make. And they were doing essentially, we're sponsoring some stuff, TED Talks. They have a big conference in the Vancouver Convention Center. And I was flown out there with some Korean clients to go and set this whole thing up and manage it whilst I was there, and bumped into my now fiance, Alexandra, or Sasha, who is Ukrainian, who lives in Canada. Had lived there for about 2 years by the time I met her, and we did a bit of a long distance thing. I think our second date was in Mexico.
Okay.
She's an expensive date, which is why I've got to now hang on and seal the deal. And we talked a bit. She came over here for a while to the UK, and then she wanted to follow some stuff that she had started in Canada. And I'm a fairly flexible kind of guy, so I thought I'll go give that living and working abroad thing a go. So moved out to Vancouver. It's a lovely place, lots of mountains and sea, and people wearing Lululemon yoga pants, because that's where Lululemon's from. And everyone's up at 6 a.m. doing jogs, not me. I did too much of that when I was younger. I'm over that stuff now.
Oh, you had to, when you're a swimmer, you had to jog all the time?
No. It's not like boxing. You don't have to go out jogging or anything like that. Just in the pool. It's quite a specific fitness, I think, swimming. Because
they say it's the best.
It's
swimming.
cardio. You've got to use everything in your body to get through that water, because water's really hard to move through compared with like air. And then the other thing about swimming is, you've essentially got to hold your breath while you're doing the exercise, because you only get to breathe when you turn your head, and every time you breathe you're slowing yourself down because you're making yourself less streamlined through the water. So
do you breathe 4-4-1 or 3-1?
It depends on the distance. So sprints, so if you're doing like 1 or 2 lengths of a pool, you want to probably put your head down and try not to breathe too much on the first length.
So it could be 6 or 8-1. Something like that, depending on
the
meter or 20 meters.
The main thing they used to teach with breathing, which is pretty much the case unless you're doing really short sprints, is bilateral breathing. So you basically breathe either side. So you do 3 strokes, and then you breathe 3 strokes, you breathe on the other side. You do 3 strokes, you breathe that side, because it just makes you more even.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas if you breathe on one side, you're going to roll a lot. So you'll go, and then you'll stick your head up, and then you're not as even as you are if you breathe left and then right and then left and then right. So usually I'll breathe every 3 strokes, maybe every 5 strokes, but yeah.
Okay. And when do you breathe? Do you breathe in through your mouth and out through your nose? And do you breathe?
Yeah, I mean that's what they'll tell you to do.
Okay.
I'm a bit of a mouth breather, I think, in general. So I usually breathe through my mouth, and I blow bubbles out of my mouth and nose. So you obviously blow a bit out your nose so that the water doesn't kind of swamp back up there. But I don't know. It's one of those things. You spend that much time in water, you kind of in a way you like seal your nose and your the back of your throat off. Like I could probably swim through the water with my mouth open. I wouldn't swallow water. It's just like I don't know. You just kind of position your neck where you're kind of shutting the valve off a little bit. I think, I don't know. It's a weird thing.
And when you tilt to the right or the left,
yeah,
do you tilt down, look down, or do you tilt fully to the left?
You want to go. You want to tilt your left head either fully left or right. Not necessarily down, because if you put your head down, the water's gonna hit the top of your head and it's gonna slow you down. So yeah, you wanna breathe to the side, and you wanna, if you want to get really technical about it, you kind of open almost half of your mouth, so just top half of your mouth, so you'd be kind of sucking through the top half, because then you don't have to turn your head fully out of the water. But don't need to be doing that if you're just doing your 1,000 meters. But I hear you're gonna up your game, so yeah. I'm looking for 1,500 next time you go.
One time I was doing 16. I was doing a mile.
Okay, well that's a good exercise.
I had the inline snorkel I was using.
All right, yeah.
I don't use the fins or anything. I just had the inline snorkel.
Okay.
And then
I didn't use any of that stuff when I was a kid, but I think it's because it didn't really exist.
Yeah, but then I was focusing on technique while using the inline snorkel. Yeah. But then obviously you need to increase your technique of breathing.
When you don't have it, yeah.
Yeah, so not having it has been an interesting experience.
Okay. The only training aid that we used to use was either like kick floats or the float that you stick between your legs. Call it a pull buoy, which
Do you do that between your higher part of your
yeah
thighs?
up right up there, whack it up.
Okay, not near the knees.
No.
Okay, so
Yeah, you want to get it up between
you?
your thighs just so you can kind of squeeze onto it, and then then just kind of trail your legs behind you and try not to let it pop out when you do a turn.
Yeah, I hear you.
But hand paddles are pretty popular now. The kind of plastic hand paddles.
Because those are like a simulation of fate. You're never going to have your hands shut.
Well, there's that. So I think what they are good for though is they help you like understand like how to catch the water. So when you use a hand paddle, they're often quite flat on the front of them. So if you put your hand in the water the wrong way, it will just slide through the water backwards. Whereas you have to like put your hand in properly, and then it kind of cups the water, and then you'll feel the water as you push back. So it can teach you quite good technique, but it's it depends how technical you want to get with these things. I mean, if you're doing 1,000 meters, sounds like you're not too bad at swimming.
Yeah, I was at the Olympic pool, Elizabeth pool.
Ah, it's a lovely pool. Yeah, I've been to that one.
And they do free lessons. They call it swim doctors. You pay your membership, and you can go certain days where you're going to get a professional who will teach you.
Yeah.
And she was talking about when you cut in, you make a pair.
Yeah, that's it. There
like
you go.
that.
Yeah. There you go. You got a good teacher.
And that was building certain muscles, but then
you can feel it in your forearm, right?
Yeah.
Like this bit here. Right.
And I was finding one side of my body one arm was getting stronger than the other.
Okay.
Which I didn't like, so I wanted to try and balance out.
Yeah.
But the other thing, what I noticed was there was different. I see when I search on the internet, there's different styles of swimming. The women explain this as well for open water and swimming pools.
Yeah.
So what is it? When you're powering, you stretch out far as you can.
Yeah.
Is that right? And then when you're swimming in open water, you bend your arm and you just.
Yes and no. I mean, I think the main difference between swimming open water and in a pool is obviously in open water it can be a bit choppier, there can be waves and stuff, so often the technique they'll teach you is keep more of a straight arm when you come over the top, rather than traditionally pool swimming you keep like a really high elbow, so your hand kind of comes past your face and your elbow's high, and then your thumb goes into the water, and then you do the pear shape or like the kind of sweep pull and then push behind you. Whereas open water swimming, you don't want to necessarily drag your hand past your head, because if your hand will catch a little wave and it can literally be like an inch, 2 inch above the surface. If you catch your hand there, your hand's going to drop into the water and you're not going to get any pull. So you'll swing your arm over the
like a windmill.
More straight, yeah, more windmill style.
Open water stretched out. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Going back to Canada, what's the difference between Canada and England that you found in adapting?
Everyone in Canada is very nice. It's a stereotype, but it's kind of true. Everyone's very polite. Everyone's saying please and thank you a lot. Sorry, as Justin Bieber made famous. There's a lot of sorries going on. They apologize for absolutely everything, which you could say is kind of British, but yeah, they're very polite, really nice people. I would say, they keep themselves a little bit, like maybe small communities, like groups of friends that seem like generally quite small. People are not that open, like they don't chat to like strangers in different places. And I would say the other thing about Canadians is that they this is going to sound bad, don't really have any banter. They don't really get it. I think it's kind of a bit lost on them.
Okay.
They're kind of like little jives and jabs and stuff that you water off a duck's back in the UK, but yeah, I think people might take offence to it, or they don't understand the joke, and then it's
maybe because they're very nice.
Too nice.
But do you think it's because also there may be a historical thing where as explorers they're safe, right, we know these people so we're okay, and
possibly,
do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a historical thing to it.
Yeah, I mean Canada's I think like 250 years old, so it's not a particularly old country. Obviously fought over by the French and the British initially, and then the Americans fought the British for it, and then as usual the indigenous people got run roughshod over, which is I think probably happens in lots of places. It's a bit of a shame. And the community's pretty mixed in Canada. One thing about Canada is because it's the second largest country in the world by land mass, even though most of it's ice.
Australia is the bigger, or Russia?
No, Russia. Russia's the biggest by land. Then Canada. Then I'm not sure what the third might be Australia. And then it's somewhere like Kazakhstan. No, China I think is pretty big. And then somewhere like Kazakhstan is supposed to be huge as well. Okay. But yeah, Canada's absolutely huge as a place. Everyone lives pretty much within 100 miles of the US border. Like Toronto, they all live in the cities: Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Quebec. And the population's pretty small. There's like 35 million people in Canada, but it's an absolutely huge country. So the main thing for Canada to get growth is they want immigration. So there's a lot of immigration. People from all over the world move to Canada. The West Coast, where I'm currently living, is a lot of Chinese and Japanese because it's across the Pacific for them, I guess, from that direction.
It's cold though, isn't it?
It's about the same as here, I reckon. Bit colder in the winter, a bit hotter in the summer. But if you live in Toronto, I don't know why I couldn't handle that. It's like minus 20 in the winter. That's a bit much.
So Vancouver's lower then?
I think it's just a geographical thing. It has a load of mountains kind of that basically sit around the back of the city, and it's right on the ocean. So I think it gets like a bit of a breeze thing that comes through. So it's not as cold. Like it's cold in the mountains, of course, but not the city's never like it. I think there was maybe like 2 days last winter where there was a bit of snow in the city, but it's not really a big thing. And then the beaches, there's got little beaches and stuff there, which you wouldn't really expect, but beaches in the city, literally in the summer, are pretty packed. Lot of smoking weed out there. That's pretty popular.
To America.
Yeah. I mean, what I tell people is that you can't take a bad photo in Vancouver because everything is massive green pine trees, mountains, like ocean. The city's not it's fairly small, but it's quite pretty with all the little high rises and stuff. So it's a beautiful place. Fortunately, it's got it's a little bit affected by the whole opioid crisis in certain areas of the city, which I think affects a lot of the West US cities, like in California and Seattle and places like that, San Francisco. So yeah, that's a bit of a tough scene at times, like homeless people obviously, and just people bent over because they've been taking some things that are probably not too good for them, but they're addicted, and it's a tough scene. And then it's kind of, I've seen a few things where the first time I saw somebody, there was just a person just laying in an alley, a back alley, kind of a road really, but behind some shops, just literally laying straight in the middle of the thing, so not concealed away or anything, just kind of laying just face down and thing. I'm I walked past, I saw it, I was like, what the hell? If it was the UK, I would have 100% gone over there and been like, oh my God, are you all right? Can I help you out? Let me get you an ambulance, whatever. People were just walking past. I stopped and I was like, what's going on? Do we need to help this guy? People were just passing by, not even batting an eyelid, because it's a little bit regular. I went over there and gave the guy a little shout, and he wasn't dead. I didn't think there was too much I could do for him. And
was you with your girlfriend at the time?
No, I wasn't. I was on my own. But it was it was just eye-opening. It's a shame, to see somebody
in disrepair
get to such a state that they, it's clearly an addiction. They've got to such a low state in life that they probably can't see a way out of it anymore, and then they're so addicted. It's just a cycle they're in. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there is help available for them, but it seems to be a bit of a thing. And as I said, it's a lot in the west coast of the US, but I think that's because it's as I said, in Toronto in the winter it's freezing and you would die if you lived on the street. So I think they move west when they can, and it's a tough scene. You see people and they're human beings, and you're like, oh, I kind of want to do something, or can I help you out? But it's one of those ones you I guess there's always a dilemma when you see a homeless person and they're like, oh, can you got any spare change and stuff? You give it to them, they're like, oh well, they're going to buy some alcohol or whatever. There's always a bit of a dilemma about that.
You never give change.
There, for sure, they are going to go and buy some crack because it's so everywhere and it's so obvious as well. It's not like they don't hide it. They literally do it on the street by a bus stop in front of police, and they don't do anything about it. It's crazy.
When you went home to your missus, did you tell her about the man in the alley?
I did, yeah.
What did she say?
She wasn't surprised because she's lived there a bit longer than I have.
She's from there, yeah?
No, she's actually Ukrainian, so
okay.
she's lived in Canada for 5 years now. But yeah, she's from just outside Kiev in Ukraine. So that's a different topic that may take more than we have in this car.
Knowing what you know now,
yeah.
If your missus hadn't lived in Canada,
yeah.
would you have still moved there? Would you recommend it as a country to move to?
You know what? There's a lot of really good things about Canada. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. As I said, population's not huge, so if you got a bit of skill set, or even if you're just willing to work hard, I think you can do pretty well for yourself. There's a lot of good sides. It is stunningly beautiful. Everyone's really nice. To be honest, even the homeless people are nice. None of them. I don't think any of them are really aggressive in any way. It's not that sort of vibe. It's a good. You can live nicely there. I mean, everywhere's got really expensive these days, but like some of the housing stuff in Vancouver is ridiculous. Like I'd say on par with central London.
The prices.
Yeah.
Now, would you
maybe more? It's
Vancouver's
crazy.
The capital, yeah.
No, it's places. In the US, they have lots of capitals of states and stuff that are places you've never heard of. In Canada, the capital of Canada is Ottawa. Toronto is by far the biggest city, biggest population, and probably the second biggest city. But yeah, it's relatively small. I'd say it's probably the size of, where's comparable in the UK? Probably somewhere like, I was going to say Bournemouth, but it's probably a bit bigger than that. It's probably like a Brighton, size-wise. Different, but like size-wise, probably similar to Brighton. So it's not a huge city, but yeah, it's pretty well connected. Get down to the US pretty easily if you want to cross the border.
Is Canada more like America or more like England?
More like America. The people are more. I guess the people are kind of trying to be they're a little bit more European in some of their mannerisms, but no, it's North America. Like they got all the influence from North America because it's just a land border, right? So they got all the same businesses there, all the fast food joints, all the Walmarts, all the Costco's, all the big box sort of stores they have there, and so I'd say it's probably more US, and I think different parts of Canada are also different. The other big thing with Canada is in the east, you've got French Canada. So like Montreal, Quebec was all French speaking. So they've got a different vibe going on altogether. Toronto's a bit more like city, a bit grittier. Like if you want to go to a nightclub, there's actually probably some decent ones in Toronto. The Six, you've got some big artists like Drake and The Weeknd and Bieber, some kind of more urban kind of like stuff going on there. Vancouver's a bit more outdoorsy. The vibe there is really like people going hiking at the weekend and whale watching and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is fun at first, but I don't know.
Okay.
Might get a bit boring after a while. We'll have to see.
Well, thanks a lot for that insight. It's been very interesting talking to you. We're at our end of our journey now.
Yeah.
I hope somebody will be able to have some good opinion on Canada before they move.
Yeah.
If they're going to move. And we wish you well.
Thanks very much. And I wish you well in the podcasting game. I think you got a nice style for it. And also, I've got to wish you luck in the pool. And I've given you a few tips there, so expect those to be implemented. And I want to see at least 1,500 at the next session.
I am planning to swim from Tanzania to Somalia.
Blimey.
So
that's for another episode.
Yeah, that's definitely another episode.
Blimey. Well, amazing. I'll keep an eye on that one. Watch out for the pirates.
All right. Thanks a lot, and I wish you well.
Thank you.
We hope that episode enhanced your life. We post an interview every day, as well as vlogging on our social media channels. Don't forget to subscribe to get our latest episode.